Hello and welcome to the first ever episode of the Realness and Chaos podcast on YouTube. Previously, this podcast was one that I recorded and I just aired on Spotify. But I've decided to put the podcast on YouTube for an opportunity to um, have like visual aids and things that I can reference while I'm talking about a topic, so that people can see something as I'm talking about it and see actually what I'm talking about as I'm talking about these things. It might help to follow along, and it will help in expounding on certain topics. And so that's one of the reasons why the podcast will be on YouTube moving forward. The other reason why the podcast will be airing on YouTube is to allow for special guests to come on. And the intent behind that is so that people can have an opportunity to hear from workers, other workers, about their careers, how they got to their careers, how they feel about their careers, what are their plans moving forward, all that sort of stuff. I just want to really create a space for workers. And with that being said, I'd like to kind of explain a little bit more for folks who may not know the purpose of the podcast and what it's all about. So the Realness and Chaos podcast is really about workers and various work environments, specifically toxic work environments. That's what I talk about most often, and that's kind of what started this podcast and these conversations in general. So that's what this is about, talking about those toxic work environments, highlighting what they are, talking about how you can navigate those environments, what your options are if you do work in those type of environments, and why it's important for you to exercise your options and move along if that place is not working for you. The other reason why I decided to create this space is because as someone who has been an HR professional for many, many years, I've worked in all areas of human resources. I've seen the workplace from a different perspective, from the perspective of, I would say, what we call like a high level overview, for example. So you can kind of see up above and you can kind of see the whole layout of the land and how things happen. And I had an opportunity to witness all types of workers in different work environments and things that are impacting them. And sometimes it's not always fair. Sometimes people are impacted by things like microaggressions and biases, and they don't have a lot of agency over what happens to them, right? Because they are just the worker. It's not their employer. It's not their organization. So it left people frustrated. I just saw a lot of people frustrated over the years. And as someone who worked in HR and being kind of an extension of the management side of the organization, being limited in how I can help people. Being limited in ways that I could help people. I would probably give people advice that that I normally wouldn't give them if I wasn't in that role, right? So if I was not as an HR professional and I was talking to a worker about something they were experiencing, I'd probably give them different advice than what I'm able to give them as an HR professional. It's about the rules. It's about the expectations of the organization, and outside of them breaking the law, there's not a lot of room in there for your feelings or, how things are impacting you. So seeing it from that perspective, experiencing those things myself as a person of color in the workplace, and just knowing that I am not immune to those things. Other people of color are not immune to things like microaggressions and biases in the workplace, and they don't get talked about a whole lot. So all of that combined is what brought this podcast to life, so to speak. I think a lot of times now there is a lot more conversations about biases, microaggressions, stereotypes, things like that. There's a lot more conversations about that in the workplace. You hear DEI a lot now, diversity, equity, and inclusion. You hear that a lot being referenced nowadays because people are talking about it. But really and truly, if you aren't getting at the behaviors of individuals in the workplace, you're just going to have a lot of great policies and rules that you hope people are going to follow, and you hope that people will kind of exercise through the work that they do, right? And so that's the purpose. So ultimately, you have to get at the behaviors, and a lot of organizations are not quite there yet. So I decided I wanted to talk about it and give a voice to these things, and to have an opportunity for people to hear that the experiences that they have are not unique to them. They are not alone in those experiences, and that they can take agency over their own lives, and do the things that they want to need to do to move their life in a strategic direction wherever they want it to go. But they just have to know that they can do that. And so that was the other reason why I decided to create the podcast and have an opportunity to talk about these things, because this is my way of helping people figure it out, how to figure these things out for themselves. The other thing that's important to me, and why this whole topic is important to me, is in addition to working as an HR professional, I'm also a therapist. And so as a therapist, I am someone who cares about people's general happiness. I think that just right now in society, people are not happy. They hear a lot of bad news. They hear a lot of really, negative things. They see it on social media. They hear it on the news, and then that impacts them, right? And then they are feeling down, and they are feeling negative about the things that they may see, hear, and experience. And so you just have a collection of people that are just unhappy. And I think that for workers, that probably is even more so, because there are even fewer opportunities for you to feel like you have agency over your life, because oftentimes workers feel like they're just being dictated to. You have this job, you need to complete this task, you need to have it done by this time frame. You're told to get a certain type of career in order to be a worker, get a certain type of degree. So in all areas of people's lives, they are being dictated to, and they're just not happy. And so I want people to know that they have the power to take control of their lives, and they should take control of their lives as quickly as they can, because you only have one, and you only get one opportunity at this. So you don't want to waste any time doing things that really are not fulfilling and satisfying to you. And so you can do that, and you can sustain yourself at the same time. So, it's not a trade-off. For a lot of people, I think for a lot of workers, they feel like, well, it's a trade-off, right? If I want to be, this happy and sustained person and living this really great life, then the trade-off is that, I don't know, I'd have to have a lot of money. I'd have to have a lot of, free time and access to all these other things in order to get that. If I'm a worker, then that means I'm in this bucket, and these are the things that I have access to, and these are the things that I'm able to have. And I am here to help people see how they can incorporate these things together. You can go from being a worker to someone with an abundant life, right? And having abundance. But you can't get there, or it's going to be really tough to get there if you're only just a worker. So you got to be more than that. So I need workers to understand how important it is for them to take agency over their lives and start to direct their lives in a very strategic way. I talk about strategy a lot. I talk about being strategic a lot. And I talk about being strategic in the workplace a lot, because I feel like those things are very important. And I feel like those things are things that people hear from the perspective of being a worker, like your job dictates these rules to you, but you don't understand that that is something that's important for you to have for yourself. For example, I often tell workers that you have to think of yourself like a business, like the business that you work for. And what I mean by that is, in addition to being a parent, a sibling, a partner, a friend, and all of these other things to people, you also have to look at yourself like a business. How do businesses look at themselves? How do we look at a business? They have goals, they have a mission, they have things that they plan to achieve. And every day, your part of your job is to do a task that gets them to those goals. So there's very specific things that you're supposed to be doing, other people are supposed to be doing, all in an effort to get this company, this organization, this business to their ultimate goal. That's how you have to look at yourself. Everything that you do with your time, you need to be thinking about, what is the reason that I'm doing it for? What am I going to get out of it? How is it getting me to my goal? What is my ultimate goal? Am I wasting time? Do I need to make a change, right? Do I need to stop and look at how my organization, how I am running, and am I wasting time somewhere? Where can I be more efficient? These are all things that your business does. This is your company, the businesses that you work for. These are the things that they do. So you have to think of yourself and look at yourself in that way, and look at your life in that way and from that perspective. So that's what this space is for. So then outside of just navigating toxic work environments and figuring out your next move, the other thing that I talk about a lot, and what I really want to talk about in this particular episode of the podcast, is your purpose and purpose in general. And I think that purpose is important to talk about because sometimes I hear people describe purpose as something that's almost like a luxury that's afforded to people who once again have the money and the time to access these sort of things. And that's not the case. Purpose is something that is inherently unique to everyone. Everyone has it, but everyone doesn't tap into their purpose. And that to me is another reason why you have a lot of unhappy and unsatisfied people in the world, because they are not living in their purpose. They're not working in their purpose, operating in it. They may not even be aware of what that may be. Two things that I think are very important for people to know about purpose. One is that it's important to have purpose so that you care about something. It's also important to have purpose so that you care about something other than yourself. When you think about it, how often do you hear and see negative things that are happening all over the world, and you say to yourself, that's so horrible, but what can I do about it? I don't have any money to help that issue. I don't have time to go out there and help people with that problem or with that issue. I have to take care of my bills. I have to take care of my family. I have to go to work. I can't do anything about it, right? And so that's not because you don't necessarily care, but maybe you don't have the resources to do those things. When you have purpose, your life opens up for you in such a way that, let's say you were somebody that's operating in your purpose, you may have more time and money to give to things, to care about these things. And then you'll have the ability to actually take action on those things that you have money and time to do and to dedicate to. And so that's what happens, right? When you're somebody that's just working, it's strategically set up for your time to be occupied so that you feel like there's just not enough time. But when your life opens up for you more and you have something like purpose and you're moving in your purpose, you have a lot more time because you are the orchestrator of your life, not your job, not the 9 to 5, right? So that's the goal. And that's kind of why I'm talking about these things in the ways that I'm saying it. Because for workers, and I understand, it's not something that a lot of people can just snap their fingers and do immediately, right? Everybody can't just say, okay, this is something that I'm passionate about. Tomorrow I'm going to go do it and it's going to be great. If that was the case, right, everybody would do it. But it is a process. It is a process and you have to dedicate time to it. And sometimes you got to do both. You have to work while you also work at your purpose. And so that's why I'm here. And that's why this space is here, is so that people can get that encouragement, so they can get tools to keep them going along the way as they continue to kind of chip at it, because time is going to pass. It's just what you're going to do with it, right? You can spend that time just going to work, or you can spend that time going to work and then also dedicating your energy to your purpose. Because at the end of, let's say 2 years, for example, you could have 2 years spent of just working, or you could have 2 years spent working and dedicating to your purpose, and then bam, no more job, or you're in a different space of your life, right? So that's the reason and the importance behind having that purpose, right? It's something that drives you and motivates you. I always frame it as something that makes your heart smile, which means it's something that just makes you feel inherently good on the inside, regardless of what other people think about it or how they feel about it or even how much money you make at it. It's just something that's important to you, and it's something that's for you. And how often do you do that for yourself? When you think about it, right? So that's kind of the whole spiel about purpose and why it's so important. But what I wanted to show you is this clip of the what society has in store for folks who don't have purpose and folks who are just workers. And I wanted to share this clip because I need people to understand how important it is for you to begin on this journey of your purpose as soon as you can, and not delay it or push it back or think that you need to prepare more. You just have to start going in it and working at it. So I just want you to take a look at this clip, listen to it, and then we're going to talk about it.
We probably none of us will have a job. There will be, but in that benign scenario, there will be universal high income, not universal basic income, universal high income. There will be no shortage of goods or services. And I think the benign scenario is the most likely scenario, probably, I don't know, 80% likely if you ask, in my opinion. The question will not be one of lacking goods or services. You'll have, everyone will have access to as much in the way of goods and services as they would like. The question will really be one of meaning, of how, if the computer can do, and the robots can do everything better than you, then what does your life have meaning?
So this clip is really just talking about the plan for most workers, that ultimately there will not be a lot of workers. There will be, what's it called? AI. There will be AI and there will be robots that will be able to do most of the functions that people do. So as a person, you won't need to do that job because that job will most likely be done by a robot, or it could be handled through AI, artificial intelligence. And then you can just sit back with this universal high income, and you take the money that you're given and you just go sit somewhere. I don't know. You live life outside of that, right? But here's the challenge with that, right? There's already a system in place where people get money from the government or the system, and then they just kind of are able to live their lives. But those folks are expected to live in certain areas. They are given a limited amount of money. It's not an endless supply of money. It's an amount of money that you get every month for your expenses. And then that is the means of your life, right? That's the scope, whatever you can handle in that amount. Now they can call it a universal high income, but high is subjective, right? High is depending on what's high to me might not be high to somebody else. And so that's the plan for workers. So that's why I tell you have to be more than just a worker. You can no longer just think that being a worker is enough, because we are in a different time now, and we are living in a different society where people need to be creative, and they need to be using their unique and inherent gifts that they are given, right? Because your purpose is something that is unique to you. So your purpose is something that other people cannot take from you, and as something that other people can't monetize except for you, right? So if you have purpose, let's say you were someone that was a worker and now you're getting a universal high income, but you also have your purpose and you're also making money there. So you have another way, you still have a way to control your destiny, your financial freedom, your life, and thereby your happiness, right? So You have to do that for yourself. That's why purpose is important. So purpose is important for so many reasons. It's important for you inherently, for yourself, your own satisfaction. It's important for others, because think about the things that you have that are gifts for you that you give and that can benefit someone else, right? That's kind of the benefit of it, right? You think about other people that you see that are talented, that have these amazing gifts that you enjoy. That was their purpose that they're giving to them, and by them using that and being and moving in that and using that unique gift, you're able to enjoy it. And the same goes for you. So when you use your purpose as an individual in your everyday life, you may not impact millions upon millions of people, but you will impact every person that comes in encounter with you in your life. And so you have an opportunity to positively impact people, or you could negatively impact them if you're unhappy and you're unsatisfied, right? But if you are satisfied, you present differently, and people experience you differently, and then that permeates, and then they thereby go in, and their attitude is impacted by that, and they may move a little bit differently because of the experiences with you, right? So that's how these things, it's like a ripple effect, and that's how that ripple effect works. And that's why it's important for you to have purpose. And as you can see from that video clip, it's important for you to get started on that sooner rather than later, right? Because there is a plan. And as people always say, if you don't have a plan for your life, someone does. And it most likely will be a plan that you don't like. And that's something that you wouldn't want to do if you had a choice for yourself. And so that's why I'm saying this is important. So how you begin to do that. And also, I want to remind people not to be panicked by these things, because it's easy to see these things and you start to become panicked. You feel like you're not prepared. You don't know what to do. And then you get frustrated. And then that also can lead to inaction. So don't do that. Don't become panicked. Just be aware and be glad that you're aware, and say to yourself, okay, great. Now that I'm aware, I can take some necessary steps to help myself and move forward in the direction that I want to go. So that's what's available to you, right? So things like this podcast, just hearing what is available, being aware and understanding of what's to come, and those expectations is helpful. Also, I have a Instagram account, and from that Instagram account, you can access my website, where there's tools and resources there, where I talk about different topics of things that impact workers. And the other thing that I do is I have a support group, and that support group is for workers who are burned out, who may be experiencing a toxic work environment and some of the things that I've talked about, and they just need some support and help. And it's a dedicated 6-week support group for workers to have an opportunity to not only commune with other people and talk to other people who may be having similar experiences, but then also to start to strategically plan and move in the direction of their purpose. They may not know what that is. They may not know where to start. And you just need support. And that's what the support group is for. So I'm looking for folks that are interested. If you are, like I said, you could go to Instagram. My Instagram name is Janae's Pen. I'm actually going to put that into the description, but it's spelled JeneeSpen. And you can go there. And like I said, you can access the website. From the website, you can sign up and express your interest in the support group. And like I said, get started and get started for that for yourself. So those are things that are available. And just any resources that I have, listening to the podcast. And if you have questions, I always welcome questions. This is all new for me. So any questions that you may have, or things that come across your mind that you would like me to expound upon, I think would be helpful for me to know. So I'd love to hear it. But yeah, you definitely can find that information there. And in addition to that, I just have regular clients that I see and I work with and give them the support that they need when talking and working through their purpose, or even the experiences that they're having in a toxic work environment, because I definitely know how that can be and how that can take a toll on employees negatively inside of work and outside of work. If it doesn't start, if you stay too long, it will definitely impact you outside of work. Even if you are trying to kind of keep these things contained, it's not really easy to do that. So I'm so happy for people to have this space available for people. And I am excited about the things that are to come. And I'm just looking forward to kind of really building the space up more for folks to have a lot of resources available and things that they can see and hear and, have conversations and build community and all of those great and wonderful things. So with that being said, I would appreciate it if you would subscribe. If you found anything to be helpful for you, or if you felt like something might resonate for someone that you know, definitely share it with others, because word of mouth is a huge marketing tool and a way for people to get to know who you are. Like if you say something that somebody thinks is great and it resonates, and they'll share it with others. So please do that. I welcome you to do that. Thank you so much. But I look forward to these episodes that I'm going to start to have on the channel. And then again, like I said, I'll be looking out for questions that people have. Definitely check out the website and see what's available there. But overall, I just want workers to really feel empowered and have agency and start to take agency over their lives, and to see how serious this is for them, how they need to think of themselves like a business, and they need to start moving as such. And it's important that you do that now. So thank you for listening. I hope you come back. I look forward to you coming back. I look forward to doing this again. And yes, I will see you next time. Take care.